Hey everybody, you too, Bill. This is Chris with Overclockersclub. If you have not heard of EnGenius, well, you're about to. So sit back, make yourself comfortable, and hold on. So this is the ECW120 Wi-Fi access point. So if you're sort of new to the home networking thing, there are Wi-Fi access points and there are routers, and this is a router. This is the AX11000 from TP-Link. It's a monster, but these two devices, here's the ECW120, perform a similar function, but the router here is more like a traffic cop. He takes care of the incoming traffic and makes sure that it gets to the right address or the right device. He's sort of like a traffic cop. Whereas the Wi-Fi access point, this just provides a location or an access point for all of your Wi-Fi devices to access the internet. But you still have to have a router. So your Wi-Fi access point is sort of like an extension of a Wi-Fi network. You could think of it sort of that way. You still have to have a cable going from your access point back to your router. And your router will assign the IP addresses to all of the devices on the network, including your access point. And your router will plug in to your modem. So the signal comes in from basically outside from your ISP, goes to your modem, which then goes to your router, which then can go to your access point. So what's the big deal about an access point? There are a lot of access points out there to pick from, and technically you can set your router up as an access point. You'll still need another router upstream to connect to the modem, but if you have an extra router or two laying around and you want to throw some Wi-Fi in different locations, you can generally put these in an access point mode. But what is it that separates this one, this EnGenius unit, from all the others? Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that. So physically, this is made to mount to a ceiling. This is not really, it looks like it could sit right there on your tabletop, but for optimal performance, it really needs to mount way up high on your ceiling for the Wi-Fi to really work best. That's why you've got these key slots here. So this can be mounted to the ceiling. And then on the side here, you can see there's an Ethernet port. And it also has a power port if you want to power it, but this actually works through PoE, which is power over Ethernet. Which brings me to the next little device here. And this is your PoE or power over Ethernet adapter. Some people call this an injector because it basically injects power to a device that's downstream. So there are two ports there that you can see. The one on the right is LAN, that's your network cable, and the one on the left is the PoE cable that comes out. So this cable here that plugs in would go back to your router, and on this side this would go to your device and supply power to it. And you notice you've got 4 pair of wire there. You're not using all of them when you use this just as a regular Ethernet cable. So power over Ethernet takes advantage of some of those wires that are not being used, and it pushes power to a device. So this particular model is the EPA5006 GAT. And another thing that's important, if you look there at the output, this one sends out 30 watts. And you need to power, or I should say select, an injector that has the power capability of what your device requires. You don't want to undersize it. Now the box here is really pretty simple. I mean, it has the model number, what the product is, manufacturer, and that's about it. It doesn't have a lot of flashy, fancy graphics, and there's a reason for that, because it doesn't need to. All right, so I get the adapter over here plugged in. It's a short plug, short cable there, so that's why it's off to the side. Get our Ethernet cable. We're going to plug one end into the PoE side. We'll plug the other end into the device down here. And again, you can power this separately. It does not come with an adapter, but it says 12 volt DC, so you do have that option. All right, so it will power up, and then the next thing you do is connect this cable here. This is the LAN cable, so this goes back to my router. And you can see it is supplying power to it. So you got a power light, a network activity light, 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, and this one over here, it's not flashing. This is basically telling you that it's meshed in with other units, but since there's just one unit here, that particular LED is not active. And there's a tiny little reset button over there. And I know I talked about mounting this, flipping it over, mounting it to the ceiling, but actually this can be mounted on a wall also, so it can be mounted like that on a wall. And it comes with this little mounting bracket and some other mounting hardware over here. So we've got some heavy-duty anchors, screws, and some little mounting clips there, depending upon how you end up mounting it. And I know I sort of approach this as a home networking device, but really this is more of a business or a small office devices where it would be most at home. And I actually have this already configured. When you first plug it in, you do have to log into it. You have to sign up for the EnGenius Cloud, and you get an account going, and then you can access the device. And one of the first things just about any device does when you first plug it in is it checks back home and looks for any firmware updates, and this one did, and that takes a few minutes. But it's really important to have the latest firmware. And something else to point out, there's a little sticker here that's just reminding you to check the voltage. If you do use an adapter, check the voltage before you plug it in. It's real easy to grab an adapter and it may not be the voltage that you think it is. And also in the box is a little instruction sheet here. And like I was saying earlier, what you want to do is get the EnGenius Cloud app on your smartphone, and that will really help you get the system up and running. There's a QR code that you scan in, and then it kind of walks through the physical installation, shows you how to get everything set up. Yeah, back here it sort of shows you how to use those clips and the do's and don'ts of getting it installed. Okay, this little slide here is just a real high-level list of information about the ECW120. You can go to the EnGenius website, check out the ECW120. There is a data sheet that you can download. It's a PDF document, but it has a ton of information. This is just really high-level stuff here. This gives you an idea of what you can expect from this particular access point. So I've shown you this injector or PoE adapter. And you don't have to use this. If you use a switch or router that supplies PoE over its ports, then you don't need to use an injector. So that brings me to this. This is the EnGenius ECS1008P. It's an 8-port gigabit PoE level 2 managed switch. This will be covered in a separate review, but this just shows you that, yes, EnGenius has you covered in the PoE switch department. All right, so I have everything powered up. Now I will connect various Wi-Fi devices to it, IP cameras, cell phones, laptops, things like that. And next we'll talk about the EnGenius Cloud software. Okay, so everything I've seen so far from a hardware standpoint shows that the EnGenius hardware part of the deal here is pretty well designed and robust. But without good software, it doesn't matter how good your hardware is. And that's where this EnGenius Cloud comes into play. And this is the interface here that you're looking at when you log in from your PC. Now you can also log in from the phone app, and you have an enormous amount of control also, but this is the PC app here. And this is the first screen really that you come to. This is your dashboard. You click on the dashboard, you get a quick overview. It even says that everything is okay at the upper left. And you can graphically see at a glance what's going on. If you've got problems, you're going to be able to see that right away. So graphically, the first thing I come to, I do have an EnGenius switch, which I'll cover in a separate review. But if you click on that, it takes you to the switch, and then you can come over here and look at the details for this particular switch. And if I go back to the dashboard, I can look at the access point, which is what we're covering now. And I go over here, highlight it, details, and then I can start to dig down deeper into the actual access point, so you can see again at a glance what all is going on with your access point. I can look at all the clients, so this is everything that's connected to it currently. I can look at the MAC address, the IP address over here. I can look what kind of volumes of data are being moved around. I can kick or block somebody if I need to. So you really have an enormous amount of control. Over here on the far right are the meters here, so I can see what's going on with the access point. The actual components, I guess you could say, of the access point. So your CPU, your memory, speed of data going through it, throughput, which is very nice to see. Over here on the left again, there's logs, so you can see when the device is online, offline. But quite a bit of power here, so you can really get in there and take charge of what's going on. Oh, well, I think of it over here at the upper right. You see these little icons up here. If you click on that, you've got dark mode or light mode. Some people like the dark, some people like the light. I prefer the dark mode myself. And then the question mark here, when you click it, you've got the user manual. You can bring up remote support. And then you can look at your notifications. And then at the far right, that's your user profile. You can get in there and make changes to your account. Get into that. But back to the dashboard here. I forgot to scroll down. There's really a lot going on here, so you really get a good representation. And again, I only have a couple of EnGenius devices here, so if you have an entire business that is covered with EnGenius support, this is your master control here where you would get in and see what's going on with your system. Down here at the bottom, you can look at the top applications. You can see, obviously, the vast majority of my data is through this application. You can see there's a little bit on YouTube, a little bit on Facebook, and then it goes down from there. But again, this just gives you a sense of what's going on with your system. Now, if I come back over here, let's see, this is where I can dig down more into the settings. So here's radio settings for my Wi-Fi and firmware upgrades. You can upgrade your firmware. Alert settings, so if there's a status change, you can get a notification so you know what's going on. Your VLAN settings, switch settings, general settings, access control, so all of that you can dig deeper through the little gear there. SSID. Actually, there's another place here if I can find it. Topology, there it is. So this gives a graphic representation of your setup. And right now, like I said, I only have one switch and one access point. But if you had a large network with many devices connected, then you could see exactly what the relationship is and how they're connected to each other, which is quite useful. So now if I come back, okay, I can look at clients again. And this is important. So you can see exactly who's on your system, and if they should or shouldn't be there. But this is pretty much the meat and potatoes of the EnGenius Cloud. And I really like it. I love the degree of control you have. You know, for a lot of the bread and butter stuff you buy off the shelf, it's just plug and play. It does what it needs to do with little to no input. But if you have a small business or a large business, small home office, and you need a higher degree of control and understanding of what's going on, this is definitely a system that would pay off in that regard. Or if you're just a power user who really likes to get in there and know what's going on, again, this would be a system that would work out real well. Okay, one more cool feature here I want to show off, and I've got the lights turned off so you can see it. But if you look right here, I can turn the lights off altogether, all the LED lights, if I just want the entire unit to be dark. But this little light bulb here, if I click on it, it starts a timer, and all of the LEDs there flash in unison. And that is to isolate this particular unit so that, let's just say you had 20 of these things in a large room and you needed to find this particular one. Well, that's how you do it. You click that light, light bulb right there. They start flashing for 10 seconds. You can see they return to their normal function. But that's just a cool little feature to help you find it. Okay, one thing I forgot to show here, so let me go back. If I go over here to access points, and there's a map tab over here. You click on that and it brings up a map of your area. So let's just say I've got several businesses in an area, in a city, and I want to show what is what, where it is in relation to the others. So you can hit the plus here, you can add different buildings. Now these are two that are already in there, so you can click this, drag it over, for example. Oops, there we go. And I say my house is here, and I can say my studio is over here, for example. And I can add and subtract. So again, this gives you a nice graphical representation of your system layout. And then the floor plan, now this gets down to the actual building you're in. Now I don't have any in here, but you can add floor plans here and show your building in more detail. And again, I don't have that floor plan graphic in here, but that can be added. And the purpose is to just show where your hardware is located throughout the building. All right, so this is the EnGenius phone app here. This allows you to see what all is going on with your system. So this main screen here, there's an overview so I can sort of see what's going on. I can access everything about my system. I can look at the status, see if there are any issues. I can look at all the clients, look at everything that's connected. So this is really nice. And it's a lot like the PC app. It's just more of a condensed format. So I can look at my switch, my access point, everything that's connected to my system. Again, there's the inventory. So I only have 2 devices connected at the moment. And again, I can come back here and monitor everything that's going on between the clients. Of course, I already saw that with the previous screen, but you get the idea here. So I can monitor, check, manipulate. It's great. As far as support, you can go to the EnGenius website and you can see they have a really nice online user manual here. So the first thing you come to is what is EnGenius Cloud, and this sort of tells you all about it. And this gets you rolling if you're just setting everything up for the first time. So you can see it kind of walks you through. So as you read through, you go down to the next step, and then you slowly start walking through step by step. And this gets you and all your devices set up, scanned in, get your network rolling. So you can see how important this is and how nice it is to walk through step by step. And no matter how detail oriented you are and what functions you need to use on your various hardware components, they have a really nice step-by-step walkthrough here for pretty much every aspect you can think of. Here's the floor plan that I was talking about earlier. You can see you can put in your own CAD work there, and then you can show what devices are in what location. And this is really nice, so I can zoom in on that. And you can see this is very, very nice. And then we can come down to the analytics, and you can walk through the system events. You can set it up to send you an email if there's an issue. Let's see, organizations, managing team members, and this is drilling down fairly deep into some of the functionality. Back to the notifications. So you can set all that up. And then it talks about the mobile app, which I just sort of briefly touched just a moment ago. This shows you how to set it all up. And then finally, there is remote support if you need a little extra help. Keep in mind that the ECW120 is one of many wireless access points that EnGenius has available. There are indoor and outdoor wireless access points, as well as a range that are much faster than this one. So if this does not necessarily line up with your requirements, check out the EnGenius website and see what other devices they have. They even have routers and other things. So you really need to check out their website to get the full idea of what they have available. All right, so if you are in the market for a wireless access point, you should check out the ECW120. If you've got a small business, home business, or if you're just a power user who really likes to get into the details. It's very robust. I had no issues setting it up, getting it connected, didn't have anything that dropped off, nothing like that. Retail right now is $159. I think that's a decent price for a piece of hardware, like I said, that is this robust. Plus, you have the ability to use the EnGenius Cloud, which I think is great. I absolutely love it. You can get in there and control this, manipulate it, monitor it, analyze it, anything you need to do, as well as many other EnGenius devices. It's a great thing to have on your system. And don't forget about this little guy here, the PoE adapter. This is the EPA 5006 GAT. And I just checked, I found this on Amazon for about $28. So for under $30 you can get a nice little injector, which you'll need to power this up, or you have to have a PoE capable Ethernet switch or a router, because this does not power itself. You can use an adapter, there is a socket there, but if you want to use just one cable, avoid the hassle of running power to it in a separate line, then you can do that by using power over Ethernet. So this is Chris with Overclockers Club. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.